Thank you very much for having me today, guys. Really excited to be in front of you today and be here at PSIP for the first ever time for Roamby. I want to thank Mona for a great talk just then. We actually enjoyed the 7th Supply Chain event in Dublin early this year. And funnily enough, it actually landed on St. Patrick's Week. And St. Patrick's Week hadn't happened for 2 years. So it ended up being quite an interesting week. But I recommend JERP. They're a great association. It was a really fun event. So moving on, what we're going to talk about today is we're very much going to discuss the shift that's already happening in the industry. We're going to talk about the passive to active intervention shift that's happening, what's driving this shift, the impacts this is having, and what solutions are out there to currently deal with these challenges. I will go through two case studies in this to bring real life insight into what leading companies are doing. And also two things before we do begin is one thing that's really important for us to remember throughout this presentation. This is a mindset shift. This is not overnight. This is very much an educational process and it does take time. And one final thing, which I hope you guys are on board for, is I want to play a little game. So what my little game is you hear buzzwords in your career. You've already heard these buzzwords probably 1 million times in your career and another 100 times at this event. So for the next 2 minutes, if I say one of these two words, I want all the audience in unison to go, bzzz, okay? So if I say one of these two words, and we'll give it a go now, I want you guys, so hopefully you'll be on board with this, and don't worry, I won't make you do it for the whole presentation. We'll just do it 2 minutes. So I'll throw one at you, and then we'll see how good you do. So one of the words, temperature excursion. That's not bad. I think I'm about half of you on board there. Maybe we can try and get at least 80% on board. We'll go one more time. I'll say the other one. Real time. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. And obviously, Rowan BP buzzing. You get the gist of, and there may be a few puns in here as well. We're very much hitting back these buzzwords with their own medicine. So let's define this passive and active. So passive is very much, let's take data loggers for an example. It's very much a post-mortem analysis. You put the data logger on the shipment, it's then arriving, you're waiting for it to arrive at destination, and then you're downloading this data. So it's not in real time. You got it. Thank you. It's not in real time. So you're seeing the data, you're then compiling it monthly to then try understand where these excursions happened within the supply chain. So it's very much post-mortem and it's approximate and it's too late. Then what we move to active monitoring is all about real-time insights. So bringing you a real-time information from, I didn't realize how much that would put me out. I should have said from it. So I'm going to say it brings you real-time information from condition to location, condition and location throughout the journey from origin to the destination. So this is what this is doing, and you're able to see in real time what's going on, what challenges and what's going on within your supply chain. For example, temperature excursions, maybe a potential theft going on because it's gone outside of the path that it should have gone. It's waiting too long in a certain location. So this is very much defining these two, the difference between passive and active. And active, as you'll see in this talk today, active is very much the start of the journey I'm going to take you on today to truly have an active intervention supply chain. So these are very much most of the solutions out there today, and most of the solutions out there today. So very much you have actionable data and accurate data. So on the actionable data side of things, you can see some of the solutions out there. This is where you get actionable data, but however it's approximate data and it's relying on the carriers. So it's approximate data, it's relying on the carriers. Then we move to the accurate data side, which is accurate data, but it's too late. And again, you can see the solutions there. So you see the difference of the solutions. So some of the solutions out there currently that are trying to combat these challenges out there. Thank you very much for playing the buzzword game. I appreciate it, I really do. Please give yourself a round of applause. You did wonderful. but, but we don't have to do any more. So let's look at what's driving this shift, which is happening. So quite clearly from here, you can see that a good 80% of your journey is of the highest risk. So this is where the highest risk of excursions, damage, loss, and these things can happen within this part of the journey. Then you got the lower part of risk on the last 20%, the last mile. And this is actually interesting where most of the investment today is going. It's the least risk. So very much many companies are leaving the highest risk area out of their control and not solving for this area. So it's a very interesting insight. And of course, there are other things driving this impact. For example, product waste, damage and loss of goods. The quality standards assuring that the quality is there to ensure it on time, the temperature is maintained, that it needs to be maintained. The demand for orderability and unmatched SLAs. For example, Amazon's one-day delivery. And not just that, the demand for transparency is where is my delivery? When is it going to get to me? So these are some things as well. For example, data loggers being set to specific temperature parameters. So if your demand suddenly changes from your customer, you may not have enough data loggers to manage those shipments that are needed for the temperature needed for that shipment. So these are some of the things driving this shift and gives us an insight into what's going on at the moment. So now companies, what they're doing is they're taking this to the next level, is they're going with active sensors, as you'll see some guys here today, that have this journey. So active sensors, and it's very much the first stage of the journey, as I'm going to take you through that. And this journey takes you from being reactive to proactive about your supply chain. And it is a journey, and it does take time, and it is a mindset shift, and very much it's wider than your company. It involves everyone in the supply chain. And that's key to remember as we go through this journey with you now. So this is very much at the start, active monitoring, and we've already just been through this. So again, this is when it's able to monitor in real time what is going on to your shipment. What is the current temperature? Is there been an excursion? Has it missed a flight? Well, no, let's move on to the signals. Let's not be too eager. Then we get onto signal, and then that's where, because there's very little you can do with this, because currently this is just information. It's just giving you information. It's not really telling you much. So then we move on to signals, and that's where you can create predefined rules at the start of origin. For example, I want to know it's got to stay between 2 to 8 degrees, and I want to know if it goes above that. Or I want to know if it goes above that. Or I want to know, for example, it's sitting in Basel Airport right now, and I'm going to use Basel Airport for all of my examples. It's a beautiful airport, but I am going to use it for all my examples here. Let's say your shipment is sitting in Basel Airport right now, and the plane left 30 minutes ago. Well, then the signal there is it's missed the flight. So this is where you are able to see and react to things that are happening within your supply chain in real time. And then you get into foresight, and this is where it changes from reactive to proactive. And this is where it's a little bit different, where, for example, let's take an example. Your shipment is sitting in the wrong location at Basel Airport, and the flight is going to leave in 15 minutes. So from that information, the platform is very quickly able to tell you that is very likely going to miss that flight. So you go from what has happened to what is likely to happen. So you become a lot more proactive within your supply chain. You actually know what is likely to happen in time within the journey. So it's a real shift from reactive to proactive. And that's very much why you need the active sensors on the platform. And then you get into insights. So this is when you have enough historical data and enough patterns to analyze. And this is where, before you even send it out from the origin, so it hasn't even left the origin, you are able to actually say, okay, if I send this from Basel Airport, I know from looking at my data that 4 out of 10 times it's going to miss its flight, because I already have enough data to predict that will happen. So now you're actually able to predict the risk of the individual lanes. So you're able to know before it's even left your warehouse. And then finally, you get onto digital twin. And this is what all the companies are striving for right now that are on this journey. Digital twin is when you've completely digitized your full supply chain, and you can truly, and you have enough foresight, enough insight and historical data, and you can truly predict the time, risk, and quality aspects of any of your lanes. So again, before it's sent out, let me give you an example. If I was to send a shipment from Basel to Chicago, and I was to send it via Frankfurt Airport, then it'll be on time. I know that it'll be on time. However, the risk is much higher. There's much higher risk. Maybe usually it ends up sitting on the tarmac for too long at Frankfurt Airport, and there's usually temperature excursions. Whereas if I did via Heathrow Airport, it will be 30 minutes later, but the risk is much, much lower of things going wrong. So you're able to now predict and assess and analyze your lanes and see what is the most efficient to maximize the quality and the on-time delivery of your shipments. So this is very much the journey that a lot of world-leading farm companies are going on right now, and what we're enabling at Roamby as well. So I'll give you some insight into where we are positioned. We're positioned right there. So you saw this diagram a minute ago, and we're positioned between both of these. And we've already been through very much what we do in we have the active sensors, and these active sensors, again, give you real-time location and condition information that is going to eventually give you enough information to give you, you will be able to do signals straight away, and then foresight, insight, and digital twin eventually is the journey we've just been through there. So it's very much it's a journey that we're on with our customers, and a journey a lot of the leading farm companies are on right now. So let me tell you two case studies that we currently have out there. So two case studies to bring this to life a lot more. So number one, both these case studies, both these companies, they had already used all the solutions we've already been through. They'd experienced and tested them all, and it just wasn't doing what they needed. They were still having challenges. So then they moved on, and they saw this active intervention supply chain as the way forward. So use case one, they had a big problem with supply and condition data. And because of that, it was leading to overstocking and increased spoilage. And they also had a misalignment of KPIs. Two specific departments. One was very much focused on quality, and the other one was very much focused on cost, being a very big misalignment, and therefore creating a lot of challenges within the business. So what did we do for them? So what we did for them is we were able to instantly give them visibility of their supply chain and give them accurate ETAs of their inbound stock. So now they're able to plan, the logistics department was able to plan stock dynamically, and no more wasted vaccines. And again, this is one of the biggest COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers out there today. And because they had a single platform, all this information was going to, they were no more disjointed, because they were all now singing from the same hymn sheet. They were all looking at the same central location of data. And because of that, they were able to not just see a department impact, they could see a company impact. So they would change their mindset on what they did and what they focused on, how they act. So this was very much the impact we had on them up to so far. And then we move on to use case two, and their big problem was two things. Theft was one of their big problems. And actually, interesting, a full truckload was hijacked every year out of 10,000 shipments dispatched. And also there was a lot of stock management issues that resulted in significant financial and brand implications as well. So what we did for them, again, we brought them accurate ETAs to all the 30 distribution centers about their incoming stock, giving them signals, and we also gave them signals to prevent nighttime driving. So because we gave them these signals in risk-prone areas over specific times, we were able to see when truckloads were driving when they shouldn't have been. But this wasn't enough, because yes, we could see that there was some suspicious activity going on in the supply chain, but there was no one to take action on it. So then we leveraged our control towers. We have a 24/7 control tower. And what these guys do, it's humans behind this, and what these guys do is they build workflows with the companies we work with, and then when these signals come through, they take action. They do what needs to be done. And that's what they very much did. And from doing this, we actually intervened in 2 hijacks in the past 3 years, and we've almost completely eliminated the theft problem. So it really has had quite a big impact on these two leading companies over the 3 years. So really, it's important to know this is how some of our customers are doing it, and this is how some of the leading pharma companies are already doing it and have been for the past 3 years. So what's my conclusion to this? So again, I go back to what I said at the start. It requires time. It isn't an overnight. It does require time. You've seen the journey that we're on right now with our individual customers and what a lot of the leading pharma companies are striving for. And also what it's important to know is it's an educational process and it's a mindset shift. So if we take Bob a minute ago waited for the shipment to come to the destination, arrive at the destination, and then he went and downloaded that data and assessed that data. Now that same Bob is going to have to do all of that, but in the time in which it happens, in real time. So it doesn't completely change the role, but it definitely changes actions and activities in the role. So there is a shift that happens within the company. And one of the biggest feedbacks I actually get from companies that haven't adopted this or not going on this journey so far is that the technology is not mature enough. And what I am here to tell you today is that we've already got customers doing it. The leading pharma companies are already doing this, and we've already shown you 2 case studies out there, and the shift is already happening. And not just this, they are already rewriting their contracts with the 3PLs and their carriers. So as you can see, the norm it's now we're rewriting practices, and this is happening within their whole supply chain. So this is moving forward. And what I want to leave you with is I really want you to ask yourself, are you willing to be left behind? And are you happy to carry on relying on post-mortem analysis, data, risking human life, and I urge you to be the first mover in your company, to dare to make that decision. And let's be a part of rewriting the best practices of how active monitoring should be in the industry together. This is what we are enabling companies to do at Rowanby, and this is what we welcome you to do as well. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Scott Mears, and I'm one of the hosts of the Supply Chain Tech podcast with Rowanby. On this podcast, we talk to supply chain heroes from around the world about everything, ranging from the disruptions related to supply chains, their personal experiences with tracking technologies, strategies to build resilience, and much, much more. We already have some recommended videos for you to the side of me, and if any of this sounds interesting to you, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss another Rowanby video. I'll see you next time.